Hi everyone, this is Sal with Moon Valley Nurseries, and right now we're going to talk about all the different fruit trees, citrus trees, and different species that we have available in the nurseries, how to care for them, and hopefully some really cool tips and tricks for you to have a better, more successful harvest out of your own orchard at your property. So what's really cool is we get to grow a lot of different species in most of the areas that we landscape. So things like, of course, the citrus trees, we got all the different orange trees. We've got a great eating orange, like a navel orange, and a great eating and juicing orange, like a sweet orange. We've got tangelos and tangerines, which are really cool. Different types of lemons, different types of grapefruits, red and white both. Some of the pomelo hybrids, limes, limequats, kumquats, all kinds of cool stuff. But we also have things like apples that grow great in the low chill areas, so like our desert environments, or maybe our coastal environments. We've got peaches and plums, nectarines, figs, pomegranates, just all kinds of cool stuff that you can grow and grow easily. And what's really important, and something I hope you just caught that I said, is they grow in our yards, in our environments. So we carry and specialize and grow the species that live best in the areas closest to your home. And it'll take the amount of heat, the amount of cold that you get, the amount of moisture or lack thereof that we have in our properties. So it's something that's really cool. If you didn't know that that exists, it absolutely does. And it's a great addition to any home. You can put them in a small area of your yard. You can put them in pots in a lot of cases. There's usually a spot to find a home for something you'd like to eat out of your property. And speaking of like any of these lemons, of course, people are making different lemonade all the time. They're using them in water, they're using them for different pies, they're using them for cooking, fish, chicken, you name it. But there's also lots of cocktails people make out of all the citrus species as well. So we have a really cool Moon Valley lemon drop martini. A lot of customers come in and go after that. If you go check out our website, they got all kinds of cool different things you can make out of it, besides of course eating and cooking. There's cool drinks too. So if you want to entertain a little bit and show off your brand new landscape that happens to have some new trees in it, there's a cool way to do that as well. Let's get kind of down to like what to use. So when we plant, we're going to use a soil and water conditioner, mulch, and moon juice. It's essential. It has to be planted with that. That's what kickstarts them and get them going the right way. Once they're in the ground, we're going to use moon dust. This is super important to getting the right amount of fertilizer to the tree. We are trying to grow something we're going to eat. And most of our soils, they're okay, but not the greatest. So if we're trying to produce a heavy yield, we want to be able to eat a lot of that crop and get it sooner than most people want. We're all impatient. We want things now. Use that fertilizer, it comes out a lot quicker. And what's really important, not only get the nitrogen in here that pushes all this beautiful green growth, but we've got that phosphate in there, which is really going to be important when you're using like any type of phosphate. This is 8%. This will push these blooms, the fruit. That's what's going to get that thing to grow all that reproductive, basically, portion of the tree. And of course, we got the potash, which really helps with the root growth, getting cell growth up into the tree, getting the water transfer from the roots up into the leaves, up into the tree. Very important. Now, fertilizing is one component to growing a great fruit and citrus tree, but really guys, watering is just as important. Again, we're eating something that's got moisture in it. It's really important. So while you're watering, please stick to consistent watering. Please stick to deep watering. Young or old trees, they both like the same. Deep, heavy soaks, really consistent watering. It's unbelievably important. And all of our watering guides, when you guys purchase your trees from us, come with that. It's right inside of every single folder, how to water. It's really easy to do. You can come into any Moon Valley nursery and ask one of our nursery pros. Go visit our website, jump on one of our blogs. We got all kinds of information. Of course, you can watch one of our videos and we'll give you some great advice that way as well. But with citrus and fruit, deep, heavy watering, really saturate the soil to beyond the root system, wider than the root system, deeper than the root system, let it dry back out. If it's a really mature tree, you can just go essentially less frequently. So heavy, deep soaks, a little less frequent. More like young trees, where something we're planting the first 2 years, you're gonna water more consistently, you're gonna follow one of the guidelines that we have ready for you. So consistent water, consistent fertilizer, you stick to that, you're gonna have great trees. Another couple important things when it comes to your tree care is your trimming, and when you do and how much you do. So kind of a consistent rule of thumb on all landscape plants is never more than 1/3 of the plant at any given time. We really don't want to see you guys take this tree and take down 2-3 foot of it. It's just not a good idea. If you're going to take anything back, you're going to take, again, of a whole entire limb, just 1/3, that's it. And it's when you do it. So citrus trees, we don't want to see you be pruning in the middle of the winter. They really don't take well to being heavily pruned when there's potential frost. So we like to do those maybe spring, Right after the summer, early fall is kind of an ideal kind of window for those. Middle of summer, you might do some burning or some damage. In fact, we see some clients that'll go through and take out big chunks of the tree, expose the interior of the tree to heavy sunlight, and they didn't realize they did that, and they'll sometimes burn their tree on accident. So that's really important. We like to either paint or wrap the trunk of the tree. It helps keep the tree from getting burnt. When they go from this beautiful nursery environment out into your property, they're in more sun than normal, so it keeps them from getting burnt. Once that tree gets a little wider, a little bigger, you can take that wrap off. You can leave the paint on permanently, of course. And we've got white paint and the brown paint both available at the nursery, so you can kind of pick what color and style you like. The brown's just more natural looking, looks like regular old tree bark. And of course, again, when you're doing the trimming, we don't want to trim off the fruit, so we're usually not pruning at that time of year. We don't want to prune off these beautiful blooms. You know, that you're losing fruit when you're doing that. So try to kind of catch it in between those two phases and only do things to kind of shape and size a tree. As far as the fertilizing goes and the when on that with regards to citrus, please don't fertilize them when they're in full bloom or full bud, like this tree is right here right now. When they're doing that, they're trying to set the fruit, they're trying to grow, they're trying to produce. Let it settle in, let that fruit start to turn into little bitty pieces of fruit that are on there before you fertilize. Sometimes we'll see people put down a pretty good dose of our moon dust, fertilize the trees, and then they'll see the blooms drop and the new growth start going bonkers again. And they unintentionally lost a little bit of their fruit for that year. So they did a great job. The tree's gonna look beautiful. It's gonna be big, full, and awesome, but you're not gonna have as much fruit. So if you fertilize really in that March through October window when it's not in full bloom, that's when you get better fruit production out of it that year, along with great watering. Now, when it comes to our deciduous fruit trees, those apples, those peaches, those plums, things like that, you should be trimming those in the winter months. That's when they're dormant, that's when they're not doing a lot, that's when you can shape them out and not really cause any damage. You almost never want to prune them in the summer months. That's when it's the easiest to burn them, cause some damage that way. And as far as fertilizing goes, it's the same rule of thumb. You can go from that anywhere from the beginning of March to the end of October. Once a month's really great. Just trying to do it when they're in that heavy blooming period. And in most cases, in most fruit trees, it's early spring when that's happening. So we like to get past that spring window before we start to fertilize. So consistent watering, consistent fertilizing, trimming at the right time of year. They're actually pretty stinking easy to grow on your property. You can have a great yield, great crop. You can enjoy this stuff in your house year round. You know, if you're watering with a drip system with the hose, either way, when you do that, try to stay at the canopy line. It's really important to do. Keeps the water out where the water needs. And of course, if you got any other questions about what to do, where it grows, what all we have locally at that time in your nursery, you come on in. Any Moon Valley Nursery Pro will work with you. We'll get you the right tree for the right spot. And check out our website. We got some really cool recipes on there and some really cool cocktail recipes also.